What is going on, everybody? So I wanted to make this video because I feel like it's really important and I wanted to share it with you guys. So we've had a customer for multiple years. In fact, they were actually with us when we were at a different company. Now we've opened up our own quarantine shop where we quarantine fish, treat them for disease and parasites, and we quarantine corals as well. But this customer unfortunately was with us before we were able to get to the point where we have our own shop, and we worked with a previous company. In that company, they did not quarantine their fish and they did not quarantine their coral. Despite that, we ended up having their tank looking beautiful. It was growing, the corals were taking off. We're talking about softies, LPS, SPS. I mean, that even acros were going crazy. Everything the tank looked amazing. Now we were encountering some problems. Now some of those problems were anytime we would add a new fish, that fish would, for whatever reason, would last a couple days and then it would die. Then we started noticing the fish that they had in their tank weren't looking so healthy. And then we realized that there was some type of ciliate, some type of parasite that was in the aquarium that was causing the fish to not be 100%. And any fish that would enter that tank was dying because of whatever disease or parasite was in the aquarium. So we had the fish disease that we knew was existing in the aquarium. That was a problem. Number two, the coral. The coral was thriving, but we noticed that there was a lot of aptasia that was growing and there was hydroids in the tank. But they were spreading and they were becoming a real problem, and they started to attack the surrounding coral, causing tissue recession. And we started to see a loss of not only fish, but now we're starting to see a loss of coral. Now we knew this was just a matter of time because we knew these things were in there, and we did our best to maintain the aquarium, but we knew at the end of the road that the hydroids were going to get out of control, and we also knew that we were not going to be able to put any fish in that tank because there was definitely a disease in there. Which brings us to a decision that we ended up making was we're going to break the tank down. We started seeing so much coral loss, so much coral recession, and the fact that they couldn't add any new fish, it just wasn't the aquarium that the customer wanted. And we felt that the best thing to do was to just completely restart it. So that's what we did. We broke down their tank, we got all their fish out of there, we brought them to our shop, we treated them for any type of parasites or diseases. They stayed in our quarantine system, we got them healthy, we took all their coral out, we drained the system, we took all the sand out, complete breakdown, right? Now to show you how bad this actually was, I'm gonna cut to right now what the tank looked like when we went there to finally break it down. All right, so here we are, and this tank was a Red Sea Peninsula style, but you can just see, okay, so right there, that used to be a beautiful Hollywood stunner that was doing amazing. It's completely dead. And you can see just up here, there was a PC rainbow that encrusted that whole top of the rock, completely dead. There's even bubble algae growing on it. There was also a Monopora spongoids over here, again, dead, gone. I mean, this tank was unbelievable, but all the SPS are dead now. And there's a ton of bubble algae in the tank as well. And the coral line's still growing on the rock, which is surprising, right? But some of the harder to keep corals just aren't growing anymore. And the softies seem to be doing pretty well. You can see the two mushrooms right there doing really good. And this hairy mushroom's growing really nice. But I think it's just a matter of time before those start to mess up. See this leather coral right here? That was this, it had big long green polyps, and now it's like completely shrunken and starting to shed. Yeah, I mean, everything's looking pretty rough. And then we come over to the opposite side of the tank, and this used to be a huge colony of Pavona coral. You can see what it used to look like there, the green, and it's starting to just bleach out. And yeah, if we get up close, you can see where it was there, the green, really nice mint green Pavona coral. And there's just hydroids all through there now, and aptasia that are just stinging this coral and causing mass tissue recession. And again, because of the die-off, we're having bubble algae growth everywhere. This was a 24-karat lepto that was right there on the corner. That's starting to peel back now. There's a huge aptasia underneath there. And then there's this beautiful, oh man, I'm going to miss this guy. This was a really pretty leather coral. Even it's starting to look pretty bad. Most of the soft corals are doing okay. It's weird. The mushrooms and the pallies seem to be, they're pretty resilient. And oh, also the hammer coral. Look at this. This hammer coral is still like, the polyps are still out. Their heads aren't bailing either, which is surprising because usually corals like that are quick to be done. Cabbage coral, another soft coral that's doing fine. And again, surprisingly, the blastos are doing good too. But if you look at the rocks, there's tons of bubble algae. There's tons of hydroids on there. There's a bunch of Aiptasia also. And look at that. That's a really pretty sea cucumber right there. But yeah, there's still coralline algae, which is surprising. But you can start to see it's getting brighter, which means it's most likely a lot of those areas it's starting to die off. And there's a lot of algae in the sand here. A lot of green algae from the die-off too that's growing. So the coral that are doing good, we're going to take out as much as possible, try to save what we can, take it back to the shop and treat it. We're going to frag as much coral off this rock as possible for right now. We are making progress. Just cleared this whole side out over here. Tommy's working on some zoas and now the Recordia mushrooms over there. Trying to save as much as we can so we can take it back to our shop and quarantine and treat it. But we're making some progress. Pretty soon we'll be getting all of this out. Now, time to work on the other side. And now we begin the process of catching all the fish. This is the last one we caught in here, the green spotted puffer. He's a nice, healthy boy. So we'll take him back to the shop and treat all the fish also. We're also going to go ahead and vacuum out all of the sand just because there's a lot of decaying organic matter in there and we don't want to deal with that later on. We don't want any nutrient bombs that are going to be a problem later. And now that we got all the sand out and the tank looks good, we're going to go ahead and fill it up with RO water and just kill off any other thing that is in there. And here we are, a month and a half after those videos were shot. I'm at the customer's house. We got the tank ready. It's been cycled. And I'm really excited, and I know the customer is really excited because today we are starting to put back some of their fish. Now, all of them have been treated and quarantined and medicated, so I'm really, really happy about that. So without further delay, I got them right here. Let's go over what we have. So we have a green reef chromis right here, which we'll go ahead and get him some friends down the road. We'll have a nice school of these beautiful chromis in the tank. And a sailfin blenny. That's a really pretty sailfin blenny. I like the color on that. What else do we have in here? We have firefish. Looking good. Then we have, the striped blenny, striped fang blenny, one of my favorite fish. Look at that bright yellow color. Beautiful fish. What do we have left? Oh, we have the target mandarin. Oh man, it looks really good in this natural sunlight. And then last but not least, y'all, the green spotted puffer. Look at this guy. I'm so happy to get her back in because I'll tell you what, having her in a 29 gallon, it was really stressful. I'm very happy to be able to put her in a big tank. She can roam around again. She put on some weight. She got bigger. Well, we've been feeding her pretty good. So she's been a bit spoiled and sure will get spoiled again here. So very happy to put her back in the tank. All right, let's go ahead and put those fish in. So part of the problem and the issue that we had with this tank wasn't only just the hydroids, but it was also the fact that if we look over here, they have their RO, backup RO to fill up their ATO. So their backup fresh water over here that fills up their ATO reservoir. And what they do is they fill these up and then they put them in smaller containers and then they fill that up into the ATO. So what ended up happening was they like to have, you can see they have some of these prepped out already. They ended up running out of water bottles so that they had leftover plastic soap bottles. And they thought because they rinsed them out really good that they could just go ahead and put the RO water in there and transport it to fill up their ATO. What ended up happening was I came here and I was going through the water bottles and I saw that they had did that. And then I opened up the container and I could still smell soap. So I think the hydroids were definitely an issue here, but also the fact that there was soap getting into that tank. And I think that's why we saw such a rapid decline of corals in this tank. And I think that's also why we saw some of the fish not being as healthy as they could be. Now, it was an honest mistake, but I look at it, and I've seen customers do it before, but it's a good learning experience. So anybody out there, just be careful when you're filling up, topping off your tank. Make sure that the containers that you're using don't have any chemicals or any soap residue in them. And really, honestly, just stick with containers that are made just for water. So like your Zephyr Hills containers or your water bottle containers, or your designated jugs that have never had any type of chemical in them. Just to be safe, it's not worth it. A lot of times those plastics can hold on to chemicals and soaps and things, and that can leach into the into your top off water over time, and it can cause some serious issues. So yeah, definitely it was a good learning opportunity. Now luckily we caught it in time, because I think the damage could have been a lot worse. I really think we could have also lost the fish as well. So I'm very thankful we caught it in time. All right, so here we are inside, and here's what the tank looks like now. And I put the fish in, and there's the mandarin right here. But all the fish, I acclimated them. They're all in here. They're all doing really well. And you can see from the way the rock looks, I don't see, I mean, nothing survived that. We filled this whole tank up with fresh water. There's no way anything survived that. Striped blenny, chromis over there. And it's really funny because the puffer used to always hang out in this little cave right there, and he went right back to the cave. So it's kind of funny how he remembers his favorite hiding spot in there. But yeah, they all acclimated really well. They're all, hopefully won't be too nervous here, and they'll adjust. And there's the firefish, and that was his little spot too. It's funny how all the fish just went right back to the spots that they were in, even after all this time. They seem to remember. But yeah, I'm looking at the tank right now, and look, this whole aquarium was filled with fresh water, RO water. Not much is going to survive that, which is a good thing for sure. I know there's still some color here, but that's not live. Any type of Aptasia hydroids couldn't survive the salinity drop. They couldn't live in fresh water. So it seems to me, I'm looking at the rocks, like there's a lot of organic matter in here, but it's all dead. All right, so in closing, I just want to say I'm really happy that the customer was open to restarting the aquarium. This opens up so many more possibilities for us. This tank is gonna look amazing in the future. Now we have better control of what's going in the aquarium, and if anything comes up, we can hit it right away. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.